and welcome to episode whatever it is of the Sheep and Cheerful podcast. My name is Nicky and I will be your hostess and CEO of all things Sheep and Cheerful over the next hour or so. Hopefully an hour or so, not too long, and I'll explain why later. You can find me on Instagram as Clara Peggotty and on Ravelry as NickyWinterton, and we have a Ravelry group with some chat and some general sharing. There's no make-alongs at the moment, but do hop in and introduce yourself if you want to join in some chatter. I am coming to you from the south coast of England on this sort of foggy-ish day today. We live here, as those of you who are returning viewers will know. I live here with my family and my two dogs, who are currently sitting over on the chair looking out into the world, Honey and Henry, who as always have joined me today for the podcast. Gilbert, who you would have met last week if you haven't already met him, is safely ensconced upstairs in his cage. He's come out for a little play this morning and now he's gone back and having a sleep. Chinchillas are in fact crepuscular animals, which means they're the most active at dawn and dusk. Just about when I'm the least active. Anyway, have I said everything? Yes, and this podcast is about my endeavours to live as creative a life as possible in as cheerful a way as possible. So if you need a bit of cheering up, or if you need a bit of madness, along with some knitting chat and some, what else have we got today? Crafting, a bit of stitching. We're going to talk about weaving. Come and join in. Grab yourself a cup of tea or whatever you fancy, as long as it's not, next door's husband. And that serves me right, doesn't it? And come and join in for this chat. It will be a little bit shorter today because, well, I say that. In the UK today, it's budget day, which means the Chancellor of the Exchequer is announcing what he's going to do with our money, basically, for the next year or for the next however many years. And it's an integral part of my husband Gary's job to know what's going on. So at 1 o'clock, when the budget is going to be televised from, I think, probably the House of Commons, then Gary will need to be watching that, which means I have to be around and about the house for deliveries, dogs barking, workmen who are still upstairs working, and more importantly, making his lunch and taking it into his office, which is in fact our dining room. Normally we have lunch together every day in the kitchen, but today he will be glued to the budget. I don't think you needed to know any of that. But basically that's why I've sat down to record. It's about midday, so I thought we'll do an hour's worth, and then for the little factoid section, I will in fact record that this afternoon because there's some bits I want to look up. So anyway, on with some knitting-y bits and bobs. First of all, thank you. Last week I opened a giveaway, or announced a giveaway, because we were celebrating my 2021 subscribers on YouTube. So I said just leave a comment down below the podcast last week. I did say it was going to be open for 2 weeks. So can I just say, if you haven't left a comment and want to join in for the chance to win a couple of prizes, can you go back to last week's and leave a comment in last week's comments? Because otherwise, if I left them open in this week's, then I don't want to discourage people who left comments last week to leave a comment this week about whatever, for fear that they'll get pulled into the giveaway. You know what I mean. Anyway, so if you want to be in with a chance to win, I still haven't decided on the prize package, but I do have my little bag of goodies here. So, and I've got this bundle of yarn. I've got a very sought after Stephen and Penelope project bag, which I purchased at Edinburgh Yarn Festival not last year, was it? It wasn't on year before. I haven't ever used that. And I decided, actually, if I haven't used it by now, I'm not going to use it. So that's going to be part of the prize. And we've got also, oh my goodness, I forgot about these. One of my, here we go. Let's do, well, probably it'll be one of these project bags. So this one or this one. I'm not sure which. Actually, let's put Stephen and Penelope away for another time. And let's offer. So it'll be, there'll be one of these. You see that? So this project bag was, in fact, this was hand woven by yours truly. I did a collaboration with Gemma, who is Little Grey Girl, the Little Grey Girl. Her tag is on there. And I did some weaving. Oh, and there's one of Henry's hairs. Apologies. That's the only one. I did some weaving and she did some sewing, and we came up with these project bags. It's a really good size. It's lined with, oh, it's even got pencil pockets and needle pockets in there. It's grey, obviously, because of Gemma. But there's some really narrow little pockets in there for needles or pencils or whatever. And it's a drawstring. So that's cracking. And this was done in, I wove this using Down Sheepy Lane yarn, which is Debbie, and it was her Game of Thrones inspired colourways. So it's actually a really, really pale blue and a dark grey together. This one, I can't think what her, I think these were just her summer colourways. So this is, in fact, for people who are like the different colour scheme. So this is orange and red, really vibrant, with a brown wax. These are, no, this, yeah, I think they're both wax cotton, with the soft leather handle, suede, I beg your pardon, suede handle, same pockets inside. So it could be these two, plus a skein of yarn each, plus some little stitch markers. So that's going to be the giveaway. There you go, done it, sorted. Right, so we better move on, hadn't we, to some knitting. Also, thank you for all the comments. They were so lovely. Obviously, I hadn't been proper podcasting for a while, so to get all the lovely welcome back comments, and really did my ego the world of good. So thank you. And I put my water over there, so. Right. I cleaned my cooker this morning, just saying. Can you see the halo above my head? Okay, not the inside of the cooker. I cleaned all the outside of the cooker because it's a 6 burner thing, Range Master, which was here when we moved here. So, and I don't know, do you know sometimes you just start cleaning? It rarely happens, I must say. I was like, oh, I'll clean the hob because that's really, you know, I was wiping down all the kitchen worktops. I'll clean the hob. Oh, let's clean all the doors. Oh, the knobs need cleaning. So I did that. So now I feel totally justified in sitting and knitting for the rest of the day. Is how it works, isn't it? So what am I wearing? I am wearing, you will have seen this before if you are a long-time viewer of the podcast, because I was wearing this last year. This is my Rosa cardigan. I'm going to stand up. There you go. So you can see there is a bit of glare, but I think the light is better generally this week. It's very dark on the boat, but I've got the overhead light on. Anyway, so this is my Rosa cardigan. It's slightly cropped. I've done 3/4 length sleeves, and I've got little heart buttons, which I don't think you'll be able to see, but I'm not going to thrust my bust at the camera. And then it's got the really pretty lace work around the raglan decreases. So you can tell the nice weather's coming because I'm now into 3/4 length sleeves. And this is knit out of Kettle Yarn Company, and I think it was Islington, I can't remember, but the details are on my Ravelry project page if anybody wants to have a look. Oh, and it's designed by Along Avec Anna. Again, details on my project page. I'm also wearing a handmade skirt, my Salt Marsh skirt, pattern from Merchant and Mills. But again, not going to show you that. Also, I've put makeup on today. Can we just... Do I look weird? I feel so weird when I wear makeup. I don't know, I think it makes me look older. It might just be because I have to stick my face really close to the mirror to put it on. I don't know, but I put... You probably can't see. I bought some... I'm getting off the track again, aren't I? Just quickly, Hannah and I had a girls' day out last week, which, because we're in lockdown, was actually an hour spent at Boots, which is open. It's, if you're not in the UK, Boots is like a, it's got a pharmacy, it's like a drugstore, and it's open in lockdown because of the essentials they sell. So Hannah and I decided to go out and go crazy. And we shopped in Boots, and we looked at all the makeup, and we looked at all the beauty products, and we looked at all the hair stuff. I did buy a new hair clip. I don't know if you can see it there because my other one had broken. And I bought some lipstick. And I bought some liquid eyeliner, which I have attempted to put on this morning. So, but I do feel very conscious of it. But, you know, I'm going to go for it. Sometimes you just have to zhuzh yourself up, don't you? Almost, I should have worn like a diamante necklace. Oh, and I'm wearing my... Somebody asked about this last week, and again, I haven't worn this for a while. Can you see that? It's a hammered copper plate on a knitted bracelet, and it says "She Smiles," and it's Proverbs 31, verse 25. You can just about see that, and that's from Hand Knits by Tracy, and she's in the USA. Man, should we get on to some knitting now? Right, I have an FO. Yay! I put it on Instagram this morning, so you may well have seen these already, but I have finished my Hippo for Home Sweet Home socks. There you go. Beautiful. So pleased. So these were my... Okay, I finished them... I think I finished them by the end of February. It was either that or the 1st of March. But I had one done, I think, last week. Well, they're now both done, off the needles. So that's my second pair of Hippo socks for the Hippo Cowl that Lauren of Lolodidit is running at the moment. I don't know if I'll be able to actually... You need to make 4 pairs by the end of April to be in with a chance for the prize draw. And because of the postage delays, I haven't had February's colourway. This is January's colourway. This is January's colourway, and I won't receive February's probably until the middle of March. So we'll just have to wait and see. So I'll definitely have 3 pairs done. We might have to see about the 4th. But anyway, let's hold that a little bit closer. It's lightly speckled in greens, purples, and sort of purpley blue and grey, basically on a soft grey tonal background. And I chose a green and a blue contrasting mini from my Advent minis from Lottie Knits from last year, and I think it's cracking. Crack-a-lacking. Usual sock thing. Sock blockers are from Ainsworth and Prynne, sold by the Knitting Shed, I think they are now. That's the name they go by. 2x2 rib, 20 rounds. Longish leg because I like these, so I just want to keep knitting on them. Slip stitch heel, fish slips kiss heel, and a normal round toe. I do the toe slightly different to the way a lot of people do and a lot of designers do. Can you see this? I don't like when you do a normal toe that you get quite a big wedge. So you do a knit one, then a slip knit and go round, and you knit 3 before the end and do a knit 1, knit 2 together. Well, I don't do that extra knit 1. So as soon as I get to needle number 1 or end number 1, I do a slip knit, knit across the top. I do the last 2 stitches, I do 2 together, then the other side straight away, slip stitch knit, and then back to the beginning, 2 together. So I don't leave that extra one because I just don't like the look of the toes that way. Excuse me. So that's just my way of doing it. Anyway, so yeah, Hippo for Home Sweet Home, FO. And I did finish, I don't know if I showed you I think I did show you my project card last week. And I've now added, the only thing is that the speckles were so occasional, shall we say, on this particular skein of yarn, that short of pulling off a whole load of yarn, I managed to get 1 speckle on there, but that's fine. So that is now done. Cool. Can you just believe I said that? Cool. So that's my FO. I have an HO. I have a half finished object, of which I have not put on a sock blocker. I could actually get one of those off the wall, but that means I have to get up, so I'm not going to. So the Hippo can come off, and I will, in my beautiful, indulgent, incredibly indulgent Pohi bag, which I bought last year. Should have waited till we're out of the EU, shouldn't I? Out of the single market, because I probably wouldn't have got hammered for import duty. It is, and some people have said, it's now £139 before you get hammered for, I went to try and find it. Somebody asked me the details of it, and I couldn't find anything specific, but I kept reading it and I kept double checking. And it is, you can purchase goods of up to £139, not European. So this is outside of the EU for those of you who live in the UK, but you then don't get charged VAT or import duty on anything up to the value of £139. I should say that the yarn I showed last week from Canada was over that, and I got hammered. Totally hammered. But that's okay, I was ready for that because I knew it was a ridiculous amount to be buying. Right, anyway, next sock is my Rainbow Connection sock from Lytton, Crazy Sock Lady. And I showed you the pattern for those last week, and I have cracked on and I have got sock number 1 finished, and here it is. Yay! There. I'm trying not to push stuff so close to the camera because I think last week and before, I was like going really close, and I realised you don't have to. You can get to see these pretty well from about there, can't you? That's still quite close. So this is the Rainbow Connection sock, and it's got this beautiful vertical stripes for slip stitches down the front, and then the back is just simple horizontal stripes, and the same across the top of the foot and the underside of the foot. These are, I just love these. It's such a lovely, lovely pattern. This feels so squishy, this slip stitch bit here. It's really, really wonderful, and I love these colours. You know, sometimes you pick a colour combination or a colourway and it just works, and I think these are great. So it's a paid for pattern, so obviously I can't give away too much, but you've got a 2x2 rib, you've got a slip stitch heel, and gusset here. I don't like knitting a heel flap and gusset on magic loop, but I do like the heel flap and gusset. You know, when I'm knitting vanilla socks, as you will have seen, I do a fish lips kiss heel, but I do like the heel flap and gusset, but it's not quite as relaxed a knit for me. Certainly, probably on, if I was on DPNs, it'd be easier. And then obviously it's a round toe, and again I actually did my favourite toe, so I did it slightly different to the pattern. but these are just lovely. So that's Kay Litton, Crazy Sock Lady, Rainbow Connection socks, and I have the yarn I'm using is from Yarn Ink, and it's the Jellyfish colourway. It's absolutely crazy. That's Deep Stash. That has been in my stash for quite some time. And that's the, I don't know if that's still her tag. Oh, it's got a bit of glare on it. Yarn Ink. And it's tough sock, so it's an 80/20 superwash. I will have to go close for that, won't I? Superwash merino nylon. So I'm on to the second sock, and I'm pairing it with a West Yorkshire Spinners bright pink. And actually I still have got the tag, but it's over on the other desk. I have also, I had so much fun yesterday, created my project card for this, which is that. I really love that. So I had some printables from Illustrated Faith when they did a lot of Rainbows of Hope. So I used those and just added a few embellishments. And then obviously notes as per usual on the back that will live in my project bag. And I find that those cards are so useful if you write stuff on them. So I'm actually not relying on memory anymore. I'm writing how many rows I do, how many rounds I do for the leg, how many for the foot, what I measure, what I do this. And it's really helpful when you come to do the second sock. Talking of which, I have a little sock moustache. So I've cast on there, but the number 2 sock. And I will work on that because now, having finished my Hippo socks, this is the only pair of socks I have on the needles. So I am contemplating, I think I'm going to do a pair of shorty socks next, possibly. I did mention last week the whiskey glass socks I want to make, but I don't have any yarn at the moment that I want to use for those. So we'll just have to see when the mood takes me. Rainbow Connection socks. Okie dokie, that's those then. Right, I'm not going to show you, I have been working on my trio shawl by Suvi Simola, and oh my goodness, I really pushed on with those rows, those long rows. I've got about 4 more pattern repeats to do, so that's about 32 rows. And then I started looking at it thinking, is that going to be big enough? Again, my row gauge is a little on the small side, but I'm going to hopefully do that this week because I am dying to cast on another shawl. I've got the 3 shawls I want to make, the yarns all ready for the year, that is. But I spent so long working on that shawl that my hands started to hurt from too much knitting. So I put it to one side and just chose some smaller projects. So I won't show you that this week, but hopefully next week that will have some more progress to show you. What I am going to show you this week is a project you haven't seen. Oh, I should say as well, my New York sweater. So the Wear for Art Thou sweater, I haven't touched it, despite all good intention. I'm just not feeling sweater mood at the moment. So that's fine. It will sit there. It will be done. I may suddenly feel like it next week. I may feel like it next month, but I will do it, get that finished because I do love it. And I will also be adding length to it. You're absolutely right. Those of you who commented, I agree. I need more length, and I knew that really. So, but it's worsted weight, so it won't be too bad. And I think the number of stitches on the body isn't that different to the number of stitches on the sleeve. That's ridiculous. That can't be the case, but it feels like it. Anyway. Oh, there it is. I've got a box I wanted to show you. Right, next make then to show you. Just checking my time. I'm going to lunge across the camera. Hold on a sec. Okie dokie. Now, last year, if you remember, I had 2 Christmas yarny advents. One I've already spoken about, which was Lottie Knits. The other one was a real super duper treat. It was the Dandelion and Dogwood advent. called A Christie for Christmas. And actually, I'll show you this and I'll explain what that is in a minute. Oh, can you see that? I don't know if that's too much glare, but I made that because as I was opening these, I wound them and put them into a tub because I didn't want to get them muddled up in the rest of my stash. Because Dandelion and Dogwood, Amy is a friend of mine anyway, little tailoress, and her sister Jen, who dyes the yarn. Sorry, she's not Little Tailoress, she's Tailoress Studio, my apologies. And I just wanted to keep them and keep it special. So I had decided to knit the Bubble Cowl by Stephen West. It's a very unbecoming picture here, but because I saw it on Stitched by Mrs. D last year when I watched one of her podcasts. And it was so beautiful. I fell in love with it there and then. I'm just seeing if there's a better picture, to be honest. There's not. One of them is hooded and one of them isn't. So the one I'm making is this one here. It's not the hooded one. So I spoke to Amy beforehand and made sure that the yarns would be suitable. And I made a plan to knit. Every day I would knit the colourway up in the cowl and keep it up that way. Now I kept that up for about 2/3 of Advent, and then I stopped because, you know, Christmas and life took over, and so I've now just been picking that up again. And I hadn't opened the last skein, the skein on the 24th of December, which was the big skein, so I had the joy of opening that, which was really cool. I may well knit a hat with that to go with the cowl, but what I'm doing is I am holding the yarn double with Suri Alpaca with an undyed Suri Alpaca Silk, which I bought from, no, I tell a lie, I think is it Suri Alpaca Silk or is it, I think it isn't, it's Drops Alpaca. I can't remember now. I've got a whole bag of it somewhere. Is it this one? There it is. Brushed alpaca silk. There you go. It drops. Which is, yeah, basically what it says on the tin. So I'm using that, which is fabulous. And I have to say, so much more affordable than the brand that you know, the indie dyers use. And it's just brilliant, undyed, natural, perfect. So anyway, so I'm holding that double. So if I hold up now, if I can do this, these are the minis that I've been using. There you go. They are so pretty. And they're all named. Oh, try not to tip it up too much. And what I did, because I was feeling particularly diligent, because I'm going to use them in the same order through the cowl. These have all been used once, by the way, so I'll speak about the pattern in a minute. When I'd finished, I actually put a little, can you see that? A little sticky number. So this is day 1, and they are all numbered. So I know exactly what skein is what. And if I whiz over here, just a sec. What I also did, for the most part, was I had a scrapbook. There's lots of Christmas Carol stuff in here. Now, this has got both the minis from Lottie Knits and the minis from Dandelion and Dogwood, but it'll give you an idea, and it's on a patterned background. But can you see there? So I kept a snippet of the yarn, I stamped the date, and it's got the name of the colourway there. So each time, Dandelion and Dogwood, Dandelion, Dogwood, and those are obviously the Lottie Knits ones. They came in a little bag, whereas Amy's and Jen's had yarn labels on all of them. So we have Scarlet Toed Creature, Digitalis, Dead Man's Folly, Champagne on the Orient Express. And I've got, also I did a fabric swap with Karen in Australia. So I also, there, put snippets, leftovers of the fabrics I have since cut them into hexes and sewn them together, but these were leftovers. So I've got a total memory of Advent. So again, you can see here, here, I know they were Lottie knits. These ones are Dandelion and Dogwood. So sparkling, oh, cyanide, the blue geranium. I watched that the other day. That was really freaky. Realms of Lunacy, Miss Marple. So basically, I've got a record in here of what Advent was what. It does stop on the 20th. There you go. It stops on the 20th of December. I think that's when I probably stopped. So I have kept all the others, so I will have to add those in. And yeah, so I know anyway the colourways. Oh my goodness, that was long-winded. What was I going to say then about that still again? Don't know. Anyway, so yes, it was an Agatha Christie themed advent calendar. You've got the gist, haven't you? Get on with showing what I've knitted. Right, so here is where I am at. There you go. So that's days 1 to 21. Ah, that's better. Of the Advent minis. It's so pretty. Very subtle, particularly these colourways here. You can barely see the difference. Because I'm holding the natural alpaca with it, the Suri Alpaca, where they're really subtle, you kind of lose a little bit of the differentiation, but that's fine because there you go. So we've got blues there. I love there's this green here, this sort of beautiful green. And then it goes through, blends through peaches to violet to peach again, and then it started with pink. So all of those rows of bubbles are different colourways. So this is knit in the round, as you can see. So it's, oh my goodness, I'm going to have to, when we're allowed to travel, I'm going to have to go to somewhere really cold to wear this because it's going to be so warm. There are 54 rounds in the cowl. I've done 21, so obviously I would now do, or once I've done the next couple, I will be starting back here. I was going to mix up the colours a bit, but then I thought actually no, I'll just follow them through the same order, I think. So that will take me to 46 colours, and then I'll probably start again. I've got plenty. It's only an 8 round repeat, so I've got plenty in each what's left mini wise. So that was that first. Oh, you don't really see the first day because it was the I-cord cast on, so I'll get a bit more depth there. That's actually quite nice colours. So soft, and I love the effect. I really love the effect. There's a bit where you drop a stitch and you let it ladder down. Now, because I'm using the alpaca silk and it's grippy, that stitch isn't particularly dropping down, but it doesn't make any difference. You get the bubble, effect. So yeah, that's what I've been working on this week. And it's a TV knit. It's a very happy TV knit, which is good. Thoroughly, absolutely loving this. So that, oh, a couple more bags in there. I haven't actually made a project card for this. I should do. And what I might do is add a separate card behind that with a list of the colourways and the names, so that goes into my knitting notebook. That has now come off. That was stuck to the top of this, but it's now come off. So yeah, that's my bubble cowl. Gosh, I waffled on about that a while, didn't I? Right, moving on then. The Battenberg blanket is going well. I'm not going to show it this week, but I've been crocheting my squares. I've had to buy some more yarn now because I've used up all the grey, because I only actually bought one ball of grey because I was intending to use black and white. But that's working well, actually. Yeah. So while I'm waiting for the grey, I've been knitting some cream ones. 7 of these a day I'm attempting to do. And I've ordered a deep claret as well. If you remember, there's an odd black one. I'm going to put an odd black one and an odd claret one. And I ordered a really lovely blue-black mulled one as well that I'm going to use just to... Oh, dropped it on the floor. Just to break up, give it a little bit of colour anyway. So that was that. What else then? Mail. Let's just talk about some happy mail, I think, because I've got some mail which then goes on to the pick and mix section. As I say, the factoid section is going to be recorded in a bit. So pick and mix. I subscribe to, no, not pick and mix, I'm sorry, happy mail. I subscribe to Giddy Yarn's Marvellous Minis Club, monthly Marvellous Minis Club, which is Helen of Giddy Yarns, who does lovely yarn, and it's mostly based on children's stories, which is a lovely, lovely brand to have. She nobbles me, especially when she does the Enid Blyton stories and Winnie the Pooh. And she does the Flower Fairies as well. But anyway, I subscribe to the monthly minis. Stop saying So that's Helen's details there. Check her out if you haven't. Oh, I've got an itchy nose now. And so if you haven't had your February minis, yeah, this would be February's minis. Look away. I do like, everything seems to come in these lovely little cardboard through the letterbox boxes now, which is good environmentally, but it also, they just look really nice. So here are the minis. They're really pretty. She did put out a mood board for these, but I can't remember. I just know that I liked January, February, March, so I signed up for 3 months. So there is the minis. So you've got 2 quite similar. One hasn't got the green and the blue in it though. One is slightly more pink. There, those 2. Then you've got just a deep sort of reddish pink. That looks nice with my hair. Then a pale violet and pink one. And then a purple and magenta one. Really pretty. I'm thinking I might make a pair of scrappy socks. I'm not really a scrappy sock maker, but I've been really, really loving watching Crazy Sock Lady at the moment, and so I thought I might give that a go. But that was really nice mail to get. I don't think I showed you as well. I bought a skein, again, quite a while ago because post is very delayed from there to here. I bought a skein of Lolodidit plush sock in the Ice Baby colourway, and that's arrived now. It's got quite a glare on it, hasn't it? But it's a tonal light blue. It's really pretty with speckles. It's a lot darker up there, you can see. So I can't think when I actually... Not sure when I ordered that. That might have been in my January. I'm really fed up. I'm going to order another skein, but it's lovely. I don't have much in the way of tonals in my stash. Sock yarn stash wise, I don't have a huge. It's in one cubby, Plus there's a cubby of leftovers. Oh, and a basket of my precious special ones. But I don't have much in the way of tonals for socks or anything like that. So, and especially when you knit a sock like this and you want to mix and match, it's useful. That said, I think it will be a sin just to use that as contrast. So I might knit a pair of socks. I could use it in a shawl. Although I've got my shawls planned, so who knows. Anyway, so that was that. I think that was all that came post-wise. So now a little bit of pick and mix, and this week it's going to be weaving. We're going to talk about weaving because I have a new project that I'm about to start on the loom. So I weave on a rigid heddle loom. If you haven't seen any of the blankets that I have woven in the past, then go back probably a year or so, certainly a couple of years, on my Instagram feed and you'll see them. I weave what's called Alchemy Blankets. I named them Alchemy because I believe that it was a whole load of scraps coming together that were kind of worth nothing on their own, but they formed magic on the loom to create a, if you like, a scrappy blanket really on the loom. And I have I use a 48-inch rigid heddle loom, and the blankets I make on this loom are about single bed size. That's pretty much. They're kind of about 6 foot by just under 4 foot because it's a 48-inch wide loom. Obviously that's not 48-inch wide loom, and you get a little bit of shrinkage and drawing, so it's probably about 45 inches wide by the time it's come off the loom. And anyway, I used to make these to order. I used to take custom orders, which I believe I mentioned, did I touch on last week? Said that I stopped doing that because I was overwhelmed with orders and it wasn't fun anymore basically. But I do occasionally still make them, either for special requests or for friends. And I promised last year that I would make one for, should I say who it's for? I shan't. For a dear friend. You will know her. I will probably say at some point anyway. And I said to her, look, I'm going to, of course I'll make your blanket. Apparently she's wanted one of my blankets for ages, ever since she saw the one I made for Danny, Little Bobbins. And I said, of course I'll make you a blanket, just send me the yarn, it's fine. And she got so excited. It was so lovely. If you're watching, I'm sending you a big hug. And so this week she sent the yarn. And her yarn scraps, if I say they're beautiful bits, I think probably most of you will guess who these are from. And then if you see the Liberty box. But look at that box. Ah! I knew that. I don't know how far I can tip it without them all, there you go, falling out. So, because when I weave, I said to her I can use really small scraps, so right down to 5 to 10 gram minis I can put into the blanket. So she has sent me, this is probably, oh, this is so gorgeous. I'm half wondering if this is Dandelion and Dogwood actually. What you can't see is it's gold stellina. It's amazing. So that's quite a big one there, and bless her heart, I did say, could she cake it up? Because if I have to cake up a bajillion minis or a bajillion skeins of yarn before I start weaving, I tear my hair out. It's a really tiddly one there. And then there's a slightly larger cream, sort of fleshy coloured. Oh, there's a thing on here. Who's this? The Wool Barn, of course it is. Beautiful. That's like it's almost like a ballerina taupe pink kind of colour. And then, yeah, all these little beautiful pinks and greens. What's that one? A sparkly, there's loads of sparkle. This is going to be a really sparkly blanket. So, that, all being well, that this weekend will make its way onto the loom. It won't this weekend. I will warp the loom this weekend, which is the kind of the most physical part of it all. I have to set it up so that I can create a warp that is about 8 foot long. Gary is out, he will be going into the office this weekend because nobody will be in the office, so I will probably have to clear off the dining room table from his work, extend it out, and I will use that to warp the loom. But I'm hoping to do that this weekend so that I can start then. Once that's done, the loom will probably live on one of the kitchen worktops, the one in front of the garden window, which is lovely, and I will then be able to go and do a bit each day. I don't weave for hours at a time because I do it standing up because it's such a big loom, and I can't actually stand, you know, for comfortably for more than about 45 minutes or an hour at the loom, because it's also a lot of bending and twisting and what have you. So, but that will start, so I will be showing progress of that one. It's really exciting. I haven't made one for some time, certainly not with fingering weight yarn. So hang on, I'm just checking time wise we're doing well. So yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing this week. If you're interested in the process of weaving, I'm thinking of recording the whole thing, bits of it anyway, and doing a time-lapse video, because I think that would be really cool to see. But I certainly will be able to talk about it a bit more as I do it. Perhaps I'll do a video as I'm warping, seeing as Gary's not going to be here. That would be all right, wouldn't it? So yeah, that's going to be this week. I'm going to cast on a new pair of socks at some point because I need a pair of vanilla socks on the needles. I have got this pattern pretty much memorised, but I like to have it in front of me and I get distracted if I've got the telly on. So that's that. And also, oh, just finally, I have said to my daughter Hannah, for those of you who don't know, my daughter Hannah, I am planning on making her a quilt, sewing her a quilt for, hopefully for Christmas. And she has been looking through my quilt books. I've got some fabric that I bought with her in mind, and she has now chosen her quilt. She doesn't want a big fancy one, lots of different shapes, which quite frankly is a bit of a relief. But this morning we decided on this, so I thought I'd just show you which one. It's quite a straightforward one, and it's from this book by Pam and Nicky, Lintott, Jelly Roll Quilts, and they have the Quilt Room shop, and it's their website is the Quilt Room. I'll link it down below. They've got quite a lot of books like this. I haven't got jelly rolls, but I will be cutting. Now, this is the quilt, but it won't be in such a deep blue. That's the one Hannah's chosen. So it's going to be beautiful. We have got aqua and soft aqua and mint kind of colours of fabric. With where the white is, she wants a soft grey, because her new bedroom, which is what they're working on upstairs, is going to be a soft grey palette, grey and white, and she's going to have sort of soft pastels in her soft furnishings. So if I show you again without, that's another sketch of it. So again, the blocks will be the aquas, and then where it's white, that will be a soft grey. You're going to be right on screen. Is that a cup of tea for me? You can talk.
Yes, it's for you.
Thank you, darling.
Because I made Dad a coffee. So.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you. Okay. Okay. Bye. Just showing off your quilt. So yes. Bye. I'm not going to cut that out because that's live, that's me, and that's my daughter. Yeah, so that is the quilt. I have some fabric, and it's all unicorn fabric, okay? Because she may be 24 years old. She loves unicorns. Who doesn't love unicorns? So I sourced some fabric from actually a place called Holly's Haberdashery, which I'm using quite a lot at the moment online. And I might start just doing a few blocks and put them together, so I might be able to show you that next week. which would be really cool. I need to work on my Tilda quilt as well. That's getting very big. I will show you that next week. And I think that's probably all I'm going to talk about for now. Amazingly, the dogs are both curled up, fast asleep. One on the chair, one on the bed, on his bed. Henry, that is. So we've had no interruptions. It's coming up to 1 o'clock, which is marvellous. And I just got a cup of tea. I feel like I want to sit here and talk for even longer. I could do. What do you think? Should I sit here and talk for a bit longer? Yeah, but then Gary's hungry and it'll get cross if he gets hangry. That is way too hot to even think about drinking. And now the workmen are banging and drilling. So it probably is a sign for me to go. I'm going to go for now. And then I will be back and I will tag on a little bit, which, you know, there'll be no gap for you. I didn't even have to say that I will go for now. I'll tag on the factoid segment because I really like doing that and I want to share with you something that I've been thinking about this last week. See you in a minute. Okay, I'm now back. It is just after lunch and I've just got Henry now and he's not terribly settled, so you may well hear him pottering around the room, but hopefully the noise has desisted from upstairs just for a few minutes. I just wanted to add my little factoid section in because I'd had a thought this week about authors. As many of you know, I'm a bit of a bibliophile and I know a lot of you are as well. And again, as you know, my real area of love and interest lies in classic literature. Mostly English, but also some American. I've read French classic literature, not in French. Well, I did many years ago, but I read an Australian classic, which any of you over there, I read My Brilliant Career by Miles Franklin. Now that's another interesting one. That actually relates to what I'm going to talk about. So let's jump straight into there. I thought it would be interesting. Okay, this all stemmed from last year sometime. I can't think when it was, but I'm going to admit to being a bit of a... I can't think of the right word that's polite enough. I'm not going to say idiot because it wasn't an idiot, but many of you will have heard of the books by Noel Streatfeild, the Ballet Shoes series, White Boots, and do you know what? I can't think of the others now. Anyway, I do love You've Got Mail. Tom Hanks and Meg Ryan, the film, and of course she talks about those books in that film, and that's probably what prompted me to think about it. And do you know what? I had never realised that Noel Streatfeild was a woman. I kind of thought Noel, Noel, was the male version and Noelle, Noelle, was the female version. And it came as a bit of a shocker, and I totally get it now. I'm sure to me they are books written by a woman, but I just thought of Noel Streatfeild as a man. So I then remembered that it was only a couple of years ago that I realised that P.D. James was a woman. And that in my head, for some reason, all of the mystery and murder books, I've seen an adaptation on television of one of hers, and I can't think one of her famous detectives. But anyway, I always thought P.D. James was a man, and it is in fact Phyllis James. So I then started thinking about women writing under a male pseudonym. And I did a little bit of research and I just had a few interesting things. Now, in terms of classics, we all know, I'm sure, that George Eliot, who wrote Tess of the D'Urbervilles, Middlemarch, Silas Marner, Far from the Madding Crowd, that was the other one I was trying to think of, was in fact a woman. Mary Ann Evans was her name, and she wrote under the name of George Eliot. So I had a look just to see if I could see if anything else was like that, and I was really surprised because I found out, I wrote it down because I'm not going to remember, I didn't know this, that all three Bronte sisters wrote initially under male pseudonyms. Now, it's not surprising because back in the day, obviously, women were not seen as equal, and therefore it was felt that nobody would want to publish books, nobody would want to buy the books if they were written certainly by, three spinster sisters living in a cottage in Yorkshire. So, in fact, Charlotte wrote under the name Currer, Currer, the first name. Anne was Acton, and Emily was Ellis, and they all took the surname Bell. So their books were published under Currer Bell, Acton Bell, and Ellis Bell. And I'm not sure how long it took for them to actually publish under their own name. I've not done much in terms of history of the Bronte family, although I would like to. But yeah, they all wrote under male pseudonyms. The other one, which I found was the most fascinating, because I wasn't ready for that at all, and she's very popular at the moment, was Louisa M. Alcott, who wrote Little Women and the Little Women series, obviously. Now, she did a bit of a J.K. Rowling. If I'm sure you will all know, unless you've been living under a rock, that Joanna Rowling writes under a male pseudonym for a different series of books. She writes under the name Robert Galbraith, and she writes detective and I think murder mystery type books. I've not read them, but I've had friends who've read them. And because she felt that she was so inextricably associated with the Harry Potter series and sort of that genre of writing, that she wouldn't be able to sell any books that were anything other than that. So she then took the name Robert Galbraith. And it's strange because everybody knows that it's Joanna Rowling, but clearly it's working for her. Well, Louisa M. Alcott did exactly the same thing back in the day, and she wrote books under the name A.M. Barnard. And I suspect the reason will become apparent. They were gothic thrillers. Can you believe that? So she went from Little Women and Jo's Boys and Eight Cousins and all of those to gothic horror. Gothic thriller. I'm sorry, it's a gothic horror. So, I think I am tempted to actually track down one of those books. Has anybody read one? A.M. Barnard is the name. I am really tempted to actually read one. If anybody fancies doing a little mini read-along, if you fancy investigating the darker side of the author of Little Women, then I think that would be a really fun thing to do. So if you want to do that, let me know. And we can either just message on Instagram about it, or we can, if there's a handful of us, I can set up a thread in the Ravelry group and we can have a look at Louisa M. Alcott's darker side and read it. I haven't read all the Little Women books, but I've read the first few, certainly, and obviously saw the most recent film that came out. But it would be, I think, really good fun to read one like that. I wouldn't normally read a gothic, horror or thriller or anything like that. That said, I loved Frankenstein. Absolutely loved it. Oh, just love that book. Hated Dracula. Hannah and I both found Dracula so boring and slow. I wonder whether we just read it at the wrong time, or whether it's just been hyped up so much that we were expecting more of it. Or maybe we've just watched too many Scooby-Doo mysteries. Anyway, that was my little thought for the day. The thought that back in the day, and I think even today, well, obviously today, female authors, right? And now I don't want to get into some great feminist debate or anything. I just think it's interesting. And more so that, there still is that kind of stereotypical approach of a book you would expect from a woman. I mean, I like to think I'm fairly broad-minded, but I assume that P.D. James was a man. I think I even assumed P.L. Travers was a man who wrote Mary Poppins, and that's of course Pamela Travers. So it's funny, you just get these ideas in your head, don't you? Anyway, that's that. So if you find a book by Currer Bell, Acton Bell or Ellis Bell, you're looking at the Bronte sisters. And if you fancy jumping in to a read-along of one of Louisa M. Alcott's other books, then do let me know and comment below. That's it. That's my lot. I have decided in the meantime, since going and having my lunch and doing all the biz, that I am going to cast on my next and only now current skein of Lolodidit, which is this one here. This is the S'mores, Hippo for S'mores colourway, which was the first one I received. So this was in December last year. It's not a colour that jumped out at me, which is why I haven't cast it on. But I am going to cast it on with a view to making my dad a pair of socks for Christmas. But putting them in the Christmas socks. And I am going to use... I've just bought the Socks Ahoy collection from Summerlee Knits. I think that's what it's called. I've been looking at them for a while, and I think I'm going to use this to knit one of those from that pattern series. So that was just an addendum to the whole biz. Right, that's it. I'm going to go and upload this. I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. I'm going to go and do a bit of knitting, and I will love you and leave you. I will wish you a very happy week. I do hope you have a good week and a lovely weekend, and I will look forward to seeing you same time, same place next week. In the meantime, keep cheerful. Ta-da!